community. He immediately sends the king a one-sentence telegram. "In the name of God, have mercy on the Jews." An hour later, the Jews of Plovdiv are set free. The deportation is canceled. Bulgarians from many walks of life rise up to save their Jews. Lawyers raise legal objections. All citizens must be treated equally. No citizen may be deported, even if they commit a crime. These citizens committed no crime. Petko Steinov raises urgent objections to the mass murder of Bulgarian citizens.
Are the Jews from Trachea Bulgarian citizens? If so, the Bulgarian government has no right to extradite them and deliver them to a foreign power. Are the Jews foreign nationals? If so, of what country? Anyone being expelled must be allowed to depart to the country of which they are a citizen or to another country of their choosing. Does the government think that depriving living human beings, women, men, children, and old people of their freedom and using force to deliver them to a foreign power is so trivial a matter that it may be done without the consent of the people's representatives?
Kyustendil, another city targeted by Belov for the roundup of Bulgarian Jews. Dimitar Peshev, the senior MP from this city, is the deputy speaker of parliament. In early March, the MP from Dubnica tells Peshev he just saw Jews of Thrace walking toward a detention camp in his town. Old people, women, children, desperate people with no more strength left. Peshev ignores the report. On Sunday, March 7th, he gets a wake-up call from an old friend and neighbor. Yakov Baruch phones Peshev and tells him all the Jews of Kyustendil are about to be rounded up in 48 hours. Peshev explodes. "This is not true. Gabrovsky assured me nothing like this is happening." His old friend is blunt. "Gabrovsky is lying to you, Dimitar. Call Governor Miltenov in Kyustendil. He knows everything has been prepared. The warehouse is ready. The train will be here in 2 days. Your friends are in danger, Dimitar. You know me. We went to law school together. You know my brother Samuel. You two went to the same high school. You know our mother Miriam and our father Pincus. We are your neighbors. Your family and mine celebrated Passover and Easter together. We are all in danger, Dimitar. What are you going to do?" On Monday morning, Samuel Baruch calls Peshev to remind him of the urgency of the situation. Peshev tells his high school pal, "None of your relatives will be deported. I have arranged passports for the entire Baruch family." Samuel is as blunt with Peshev as Yaakov was. "The issue is not about saving my family, Dimitar, but the entire Jewish population." 4 non-Jews from Kyustendil take a night train to Sofia and confirm what is happening. Outraged by these reports, Peshev immediately confronts Peter Gabrovsky, demanding that the transports be canceled.
We can neither accept nor approve, nor shoulder the responsibility for the new measures being taken against the Jews. We intend to fight these measures, regardless of the consequences.
Gabrovsky consults with Philo, who postpones the deportation. A week later, Peshev delivers to the Prime Minister a manifesto protesting the deportation of any Bulgarian Jew. It is signed by 43 members of parliament.
Measures taken against women, children, and the aged, people who are guilty of no crime whatsoever, are unacceptable. These people, who are still Bulgarian citizens, cannot be expelled from their own country. This course of action would be disastrous with grave consequences for our country. Our nation's reputation would be stained forever, its moral and political standing forever compromised. We are deeply convinced that the use of exceptional and cruel measures may expose the government and the entire nation to accusations of mass murder are unwarranted and excessive. The consequences of this policy would be particularly grave for the government, but they would weigh upon the Bulgarian people as well. These consequences can be easily foreseen, and for this reason the policy is inadmissible. We cannot share any responsibility for it whatsoever.
Aware that Peshev could topple the government, Filov is furious. He calls an emergency session of the cabinet which gives the Prime Minister unanimous support to strip Peshev's power as Deputy Speaker of the Parliament. Filov meets with King Boris, who ratifies the decision to sack Peshev, but who also sustains postponement of any further deportations of Jews from Bulgaria. German officials, both diplomats and the SS, keep urging the king to complete the final solution in Bulgaria. Bulgarians from many walks of life, church leaders, lawyers, doctors, and labor leaders press the government to abandon its complicity in mass murder. For the Jews of Bulgaria, the threat of sudden arrest and deportation still dangles by a thread. King Boris meets in Berlin with Hitler's foreign minister, who cables the king's views to the German ambassador in Sofia.
On the Jewish question, the king stated that until now he had only agreed to deport to Poland the Jews from Macedonia and Thrace. As for the Jews from Bulgaria itself, he wished to deport only a small number of the Bolshevik communist element and instead have the rest of the Jews, about 25,000, put into concentration camps in Bulgaria because he needed them there for road building. I replied that in our judgment, the radical solution in the Jewish question is the only right one.
When the king returns to Bulgaria, he summons the leaders of the church and delivers a long speech full of anti-Jewish stereotypes.
The profiteering spirit of the Jews has inflicted enormous harm on humanity for centuries. It has created hatred, loss of faith, moral degeneracy, and treason among men everywhere. Many European nations are mature enough to understand that the sooner they rid themselves of Jewish influence and exploitation, the sooner they will be able to strengthen and consolidate their sense of nationhood and their patriotism. This objective cannot be attained unless the economic, financial, commercial, and industrial enterprises held by the Jews are taken by law from Jewish hands.
At the same moment that King Boris speaks with contempt for Jews, he searches for a way out of deporting more Jews to the death camp. Belev urges that Bulgaria deliver all its Jews to the Nazis, but also proposes an alternative plan to banish the Jews of Sofia to outlying provinces. On May 21st, King Boris approves Plan B, giving the Jews 3 days to pack their belongings and move out of the capital. Hearing that boats were again prepared at the port of Lom to transport them to Vienna, the Jews fear not only exile from Sofia, but also deportation to Poland. They reach out to the church for help. On May 24, a major national holiday, Bishop Stephen publicly denounces the order expelling the Jews from their homes and orders his priests to ring the bells of every Orthodox church in Bulgaria to alert the people to the impending deportation.
If our church does not intervene, we should expect even worse outrages and acts of cruelty, which our good and kind people will one day recall with shame.
Communists organize a public protest against the dispossession of the Jews. Stand with us to guard the homes of the Jews, to prevent their arrest and to protect their children. The police put down the demonstration brutally. In 1940, the principal objection to the Bulgarian anti-Jewish law was the irrationality of its racist predicate. Now that lives hang in the balance, many Bulgarians again reject the state's racist policy.
Racial purity is a fairy tale. I do not believe in fairy tales, and I'm not about to draw conclusions of inequality among our citizens on the basis of an ill-founded theory of racial purity. The term pure race is a fiction. Who among us, knowing the history of our land, can say, I am racially pure?
In June of 1943, Ambassador Bekele writes to Foreign Minister Ribbentrop explaining why Bulgaria will not fully comply with Hitler's plan to annihilate European Jewry.
I'm convinced that Prime Minister Filov and the cabinet desire the final solution of the Jewish question, but they are constrained by the mentality of the Bulgarian people who lack our enlightened ideology. Bulgarians have been raised with Armenians, Greeks, and Gypsies, so they don't recognize deficiencies in Jews that justify taking special measures against them.
Bulgarians do not subscribe to the fairy tale of racism. The Nazis must accept a less than total solution to the Jewish question in Bulgaria. On August 14, King Boris flies again to Berlin to meet with Hitler, who wants to reassure himself about Boris's loyalty. A week after returning to Sofia, the king dies of a heart attack. Ambassador Bekele extends the condolences of Germany. 4 days later, the cabinet rescinds the order for the deportation of the Bulgarian Jews to the death camps in occupied Poland. Ordinary Bulgarians had courage in extraordinary times to bring a nightmare to an end. 50,000 Bulgarian Jews survived a plan to kill all of them. Who deserves full honor in this story? Survivors and scholars are divided. Dimitar Peshev lost his position for standing up to the king and the prime minister. Today, we remember Peshev for his courage to speak truth to power. In 1998, many parliaments honored Peshev for doing everything a politician could to stop the war against the Jews. Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust memorial, honors Peshev as one of the righteous among the nations. It also honors Bishop Stephen and Bishop Cyril, Petko Steinhoff, and Dimo Kazasov, and numerous others who rescued their Jewish neighbors from deportation to the killing centers in occupied Poland.
But a person who had any kind of role, as a Nazi in rounding up Jews, or in sending them to their destination, or in causing harm to Jews, in drafting anti-Jewish laws, any person who had any role in what we call the final solution, although he may have saved some Jews and risked his life in that attempt, he would not be honored by the Jewish people as a righteous among the nations.
What are we supposed to be thankful to you for, that you didn't kill us? Now, it is marvelous for people to have abstained from killing someone, but does this make them so morally superior?